Hey everyone, today Peter talks about marriage. Wives, likewise, submit to your husbands. Do this so that even if some of them refuse to believe the word, they may be won without a word by their wives' way of life. After all, they will observe the reverent and holy manner of your lives. Don't try to make yourselves beautiful on the outside with stylish hair by wearing gold jewelry or fine clothes. Instead, make yourselves beautiful on the inside, in your hearts, with the enduring quality of a gentle, peaceful spirit. This type of beauty is very precious in God's eyes. For it was in this way that holy women who trusted in God used to make themselves beautiful, accepting the authority of their husbands. For example, Sarah accepted Abraham's authority when she called him master. You have become her children when you do good and don't respond to threats with fear. Husbands, likewise, submit by living with your wife in ways that honor her, knowing that she is the weaker partner. Honor her and all the more, as she is also a co-heir of the gracious care of life. Do this that your prayers won't be hindered. Okay, honestly, this is not my favorite passage in all of Scripture, if I'm being honest. Right? Not because I think it calls to a Christ-like way that is difficult, but that it's so easily taken in non-Christ-like ways. Now, some of this, I think, makes sense when you look at the situation that Peter was addressing back in his day, where you had Christian women who had non-Christian husbands. That was very suspect. It was considered disrespectful to the emperor of the household, which is the way that non-Christians would, generally thought about how the husband and wife relationship worked. And the church itself was also pretty suspect at this time. It hadn't quite gotten to the point of violent persecution, but that was coming soon, and everybody thought that Christians were already kind of strange. And so I think Peter's goal with all this is don't give the outsiders more reasons to hate us. So it's not necessarily a standard for all wives for all time. Just as we can do better than slaves submit to your masters, we talked about yesterday, we do that in the name of Christ. We can do better than wives call your husband master, can't we? Now, what's still helpful in this? There's definitely truth to the idea of inner beauty over external beauty, especially as we very commonly see in other New Testament writings, that this is about not showing off your wealth. It's not shaming the poor members of your church. And also, again, making people wonder why these ladies are getting all dressed up to go to this meeting without their husbands there. I also appreciate how he says, don't respond to threats, right? That no matter what an abusive husband says or does, we're not going to respond in kind. Now, of course, no Christian husband should ever do that anyway, but sometimes we ignore that advice. Notice, husbands are actually told to submit as well. I don't think Peter could go as far to say, husbands, submit to your wives, but what could he say that they would still hear? I would say that women are not weaker. They're the ones who give birth. The number of women who will go to work when they're sick, and then men who get taken down with a little cold. Instead, I prefer what Peter says here about them, men and women being co-heirs of the grace of God. That there is that equality. That is what Christ brings, and through Christ it reveals how relationships were always meant to be. So Peter was trying to challenge the patriarchy in his time. How can we continue to do so in the name of Christ-like equality?